Looks like we have a question.
Oh, yay, we have a question. Thank you, Ellen. So what due diligence does E.P.I.C usually do before buying a house? Great question. Love it. Do you want to answer?
Sure. So when we buy our houses, it's, my favorite answer, it depends. There's a few things that we do for due diligence. One, we partner with the right people to purchase the houses. So we only work with the right realtors for buying properties when we're buying off MLS. They need to see our vision. They need to see who we are. So we're not going to go in and go at a price point where they're not comfortable at doing things. Okay, so that's one of my pieces of due diligence, is going in with a team member that's going to have our back. Okay, that's very important to me.
So for example, if you ever go to make an offer on a property and your price, or what you calculate your price is, maybe the price, let's just use round numbers. Let's say the property was listed at 200,000. For you, in order for the numbers to make sense, you need to get it for 140. That's a $60,000 difference. Okay, so if you wanted to do an offer at 140, or maybe your end number is 140, so you have to even do an offer for 130. If you are going to talk to your realtor and your realtor is going to say, I'm not representing you for that, I'm not offering that, I would feel offended doing that, then find another realtor.
Yeah.
That's what I'm breaking it down for people.
Yeah,
but that's really what
exactly.
it is.
That's really what it is. Yeah. Then when I go into a property, and a lot of times right now it is me walking through the properties, we are building out team members to do this in training and stuff like that. You got to have a knowledge of how a home should function. And honestly, there are so many telltale signs for issues in a property. I mean, we don't get, home inspections. Some people will. We don't need to, because again, our background is tradespeople, right? We also work with a lot of tradespeople. I think in the properties that I've walked through this year, 3 times I've leaned on our team and said, that's something I can't even figure out. I'm bringing somebody with me to have a look at this, right? So, that would be another thing for your due diligence. Have those team members, have somebody that maybe is a tradesperson that can come in and go, yeah, so you see these cracks below this window? That's a good sign that the window has rotted, the seal's gone, and now there's rot and decay in that wall. Just a crack like this below a window, potentially, right? Again, having that realtor that's got your back, you can now go back and say, hey, I looked at this. Have they noticed this? Guess what? That, right there, if I got to put a new window in and I got to redo this wall, right there, that's, $3,000-$4,000 potentially, right? Funny how you're looking at a $200,000 house. And when you can start finding those things. Another one, just here, here's a quick one. We have literally made a lot of money off of grading and eavesdropping. Not a word of a lie.
The sky is falling.
There's water in the basement. There's water in the basement. And the first thing I do when I hear that is I go and I look outside. When your ground is sloped like this and your house is like this, that's a trough, people. The water's going to sit. Cement is porous. The water's going to come through it. It's just how the materials and osmosis and all of the science works.
Water takes the path of least resistance.
That's what it does. So, that kind of thing, just adding some dirt, making sure the eaves troughs are clean, and running the eaves troughs away from the house will 9 times out of 10 prevent that from happening. Sometimes, yes, you have to dig a little deeper, make sure there's no cracks, those kinds of things. But honestly, 9 times out of 10, that is all it is.
And when you know how to go and work the problem backwards, where you could say, okay, well, logically, there's water in the basement. The water has to be coming from somewhere. So even before you buy the house, you can actually put the puzzle together and be like, oh, it's because they didn't do this, and look at the way the trees are over here, and this and this and this. And you're like, okay, so when we buy the property, we have to do this, this, and this, and then boom, problem solved, right?
So those are some real tips for doing due diligence on the physical actual property. As far as financials, liens, that kind of thing, again, that would go back to your realtor. Again, this is MLS listings. If you're doing a private sale, everybody, well, I can't speak on everybody, but I assume across Canada, like in Saskatchewan here, we have the land titles. We can get an online account, we can pay $10, and we can see all the liens, all the registrations on a property.
And this is why we always close with a lawyer. right? This is why you pay a lawyer to do it, because they're
Yeah.
going to search the liens. They're going to make sure title is clear and it can be transferred over to you when you purchase it. Any good lawyer, they're going to do that because that is what you're paying them for. So again, get a good lawyer to represent you.
Another team member.
Exactly. And actually, I'm going to totally just put a little fun story here. But our law office, we work with a law office. I'm not going to say the name because we already swamped them. But it was interesting. We're doing these 50 deals, 50 hassle-free landlord deals in 60 days, right? So that is, again, in the next 2 months, we're basically selling off 50 houses to our investors. So our law firm that we're working with, they represent all the houses we're buying plus the sale side. We do work with another law firm to represent our clients on the buy side, just so that it's 2 different law firms, everybody's covered and it's all good. And we have pre-negotiated rates and it works out well. So at the end of the day, we had a client who called our lawyer because they were fund to flip investor who were getting their money back paid out on one of the houses that sold. So they just had some questions for the law firm. Again, our team knows, be fully transparent, answer whatever questions that one of our investors might have, because again, ask the questions. We want everybody to feel comfortable. So one of our clients had called up and said, hey, Deb talked to our paralegal at the office who is amazing. She's such a machine. And so at the end of the day, she said, hey, that guy was really nice. And I said, yeah, our investors are pretty cool people. That's typical. And she said, yeah, it turns out he's a lawyer and their background is real estate. And so he asked the question, how many paralegals work in your office? And she said, well, it's me and there's 2 other ladies. So there's 3 of them. And he was like, how many deals do you guys do a month for real estate? And she told the number. I don't even know what the number is. And he said, okay, so on a regular month, how much of the real estate business you do is E.P.I.C versus everybody else? And it actually, I was telling Alyssa, I'd never even thought to ask that. And I was like, hey, I'm curious, actually.
What is it?
So they said on a normal month, it would actually be 50%. So 50% of the real estate transactions that they do through their law firm are us. And then 50% are everybody else, which I thought was pretty cool. But get this, with the 50 houses in 60 days campaign we've been doing right now, she said it's actually 75% E.P.I.C and 25% everybody else. So, hey, do we do a lot of deals? Yes. Do we work with amazing people? Yes, for sure. But I thought that was pretty interesting stats. So then I went back to Alyssa and I said, so law firm, hey? Another business opportunity. But
We're gonna get to $1 billion first.
Good
Then
thing-
we're building out like you can't believe.
good
You
thing
will
we're
see E.P.I.C
laser.
everywhere.
Laser focus, guys.
Yeah.
Good thing we're laser focused. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So so the due diligence, did we answer that all?
I think so.
Okay.
And then
So we have another question. I might butcher the name. I apologize, but so as an investor, how do you decide when of the 2 is right for you, private lending or asset ownership? So that's a great question. And it really comes back to,
call us.
yeah, if you want to set up a call, we can actually kind of guide you through what might make the most sense. But at the end of the day, I always say, if you want to do the things, as long as you have time to do the things, or you have team members in place to do the things for you, then asset ownership definitely makes sense. If you don't want to be involved with the daily phone calls, and again, even if you have a property manager, guys, let's be real. When the furnace blows up, who are they going to call for money? Who are they going to call to ask for authorization to go in and replace the furnace? Who are they going to call to make sure that they have the right person to bill, right? Because I guarantee they're going to want to get paid. So back to why we offer the hassle-free landlord program. We have the staff and team members in place to do the things. And again, back in the day, we used to be the ones answering all the phone calls with the emergency, no heat in the middle of winter, or the flood that might have happened in the sewer back up in the basement, or whatever. Now, thank goodness, we have taken off those hats and we have a property care specialist team, and they're killing it. They're absolutely rocking it. And that's a team that's always expanding as well. And so we're always hiring. So, and it's interesting too, because some people ask about turnover for staff. So we hired, I think it was 10 people over this last month, but we actually let 3 go. So for us, we're very, very kind of rigid in the fact that we're looking for people that have integrity. We're looking for people that are all in, and we're looking for people who want to bring the best version of themselves and they want to come and play out full out every single day. So if you're going to bring any less than that, I'm sorry, but you're not going to last here. So we're blessed with the people we have, but sometimes some people have to step out so we can bring new, fresh people
And you
in.
know what else happens? Every time the energy level gets to another plane of amazingness, it's funny how also people will just kind of push themselves out. You know, it's like, okay, we've adapted, had to pivot and adapt. And for some people, that change, that little bit of energy shift is just not in their wheelhouse, and they just go their own way. And that's fine too, right? Like, if their season was just that period of time, great. If not, then I'm glad we have the ones that we have. We honestly, we're at 70 team members now, and they're doing amazing work, and they're really pulling together, and we want to keep building off that. And it's not worth keeping someone that's, as Rochelle says, can be that cancer that grows and destroys all that we've worked so hard to build. It's better to just say, you know what, we're just gonna, you know, here you go. This isn't working, go your own way. You know, we're glad we could be part of your life, and we're glad that you now have a new season to carry on and do what you need to.
Yeah, and we live and breathe by that saying, be the energy you want to attract. And it's really wild how many amazing people we've actually been attracting. So again, we both run our own personal Facebook pages and social media accounts. And I've had people reach out and they're like, I don't even know what you do. I just want to be part of it. Right? So it's awesome. And then, you know, again, we live with the manifestation and putting it out to the universe, and then it'll happen, right? So I had to let my assistant go about a week and a half ago, and it just wasn't working out. It wasn't the best fit, and it was just driving me freaking bananas. And so thankfully, that's Alyssa's side of the business. So I had said, Alisa, please take it in, stop. And so she let the assistant go. And so it opened up a new position. Obviously, had to find a new assistant. And so I was really racking my brain, and I was like, anybody who's been following the journey, I've had 3 assistants, and none of them have panned out, right? So does it come to me? Does it come down to the assistant? Does it, what is it, right? And it's, yeah. And again, it's dissecting. And I won't lie, I'm intense. I'm hard to work for. Let's be real. I am passionate. I am really loud, and I swear a lot. So if people are, you know, thin-skinned and they are going to be sensitive about stuff, I can't even be near you, because I'm going to make you cry. And it's not it's completely by accident. I'm not taking it out on you. It's just really, really intense. So this time I was like, okay, I'm getting this right. And so I looked at who in our world has what I need in them, in their traits, that would work really well as my assistant. So I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, our paralegal that works for our lawyers, she's a machine. I was like, I just need her. So I literally said, I just need to manifest Deb. So I need a paralegal to work as my assistant. Well, what do you think we hired Sunday? Literally, her name's Brenda. She has tons of paralegal assistance position experience. And she's like, yeah, I got you. And I was like, are you sure? Again, like, I'm not taking anything out on you. It's just really intense and whatever. So she started on Monday, and she's been killing it. The other thing that changed, and again, this is always, we're evolving, right? So I've got Bailey, she's our sales assistant. And so I am not a good trainer. I don't have patience, so it doesn't work well. So what we did was all of last week, Bailey, again, amazing. She can wear a million hats, quick learner. And so I said, Bailey, can you just learn this, please? Just learn the position so you can train her. And that's basically what we did. And it's been working amazing. So thank you. Shout out to Bailey for doing that. And yeah, we're super excited that everything's going to be going smoothly forward. And I have full faith that this is lucky number 4. So, okay.
We have questions.
Okay.
He says, hi, Rochelle and Alisa. Hope you guys are doing good. I'm really glad to attend this webinar. I have a few questions. First question, I'm a novice when it comes to real estate investing. Do you guys provide mentorship or an opportunity for a person to learn the insights of real estate investing, hands-on experience?
Good question. So I don't know where you're from, Emrit, but we encourage people to book in a discovery session phone call with either of us so that we can find out a little bit more about you and where you're at. We do only provide passive investment opportunities, but if you are interested or being active makes more sense for you, we do have a big network. Yeah. So we could put you in touch, with somebody who might be able to coach you if you wanted to be active. So
absolutely.
That's where I'll leave that.
Second question, how can I actively enter into the real estate investing in Saskatchewan as a newcomer?
Emily, this is from the US, but we'll be moving to SK soon.
Oh, wow.
Where in the US? Chicago. Interesting. So we're actually coming down into the States in July. And so we're going to be actually having US investors invest with us. So as a newcomer, it's a little tougher to be a passive investor. Active definitely makes more sense because you have to build up your credit for 2 years before you can actually own an asset in Canada, just based on the credit rules and everything like that. But there are lots of ways you could be active. Again, that's not our forte, but book in a call and we can always find out what your experience is and who would make
There's also the affiliates partnership that we work with a lot of people, and that would be a call to have with Rochelle.
Yeah.
And they would really break that out for you.
Yeah. So the other side of, and again, it's interesting because sometimes people are like, no, like I want to do the things. I want to be an active investor. I want to do the project, which is fine, but it's interesting. Yeah, because as you're building your network, if we turn around and explain to you who we are, what our opportunities are, and then when you're networking with people, if you are pitching them to potentially invest with you, that's fine. But again, our barrier to entry is really low. So when people are in Vancouver or people are in Toronto, a lot of times they might be interested in investing, but they don't have the cash to invest in those markets. So we always explain to people, like booking a discovery call, we'll explain to you how to kind of pitch our products or our opportunities, and then you could get referral fees. So we pay $1,000 referral fee for every single closed deal. So once we finish the 50 houses in 60 days campaign for the hassle-free, Bailey and I are going to be literally just sitting down and recreating our entire affiliate program in the back end of the business. And we're actually going to be creating our new affiliate army. So it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be pretty revolutionary. And that's how we want to go more into the sales side of our company, because we get asked all the time, well, if your opportunities are so great, how come everybody doesn't invest with you? And it really comes down to really nobody knows we exist. And I'm really tired. We're really tired of being basically Canada's best kept secret for passive investment opportunities. And so we just want to get the word out there, and we want to work with our peeps to get it happening. And whether you invest with us or don't invest with us, anybody can talk about it. No, because Regina is not a city that we're interested in investing in, and we don't need another presence in another city because our hub is Saskatoon, and so that's our head office, that's our main office. It'll always be like that. We might have little satellite offices, but it'll be more so for the property management side and the repair crew. And again, full disclaimer, disclosure, whatever, we are not property managers. It would just be property management for our properties that we have.
It's in-house.
Yeah. But with our sales side or our affiliate army, it's always going to be based out of our head office in Saskatoon. That's just where we are. So. Cool. Awesome. But yeah, when you get here,
answering my question.
Awesome. Our pleasure. When you get here, maybe reach out and we can always book in a one-on-one call or whatever, or even a meeting eventually if COVID's over and whatever, and then we can find out about your specific situations. The other side too, if you do want to be active, we actually have amazing wholesalers that we work with here in Saskatoon. And so they're super active. And it's interesting too, because a lot of people will ask us, well, how do you guys find properties? Right?
They find us.
Yeah. And it's interesting though, because a couple of the gentlemen we work with, they were building back in the day, and then the market really changed, and they were like, okay, it doesn't really make sense, there's no money in building anymore, but we can still use our crews to flip houses. But they also realized that they didn't really want to be active landlords either. So they're like, okay, well, there's kind of a problem because we can't flip houses to the general public because we're in a buyer's market. So what now? And then that's when Alisa and I started working with them, and they started bringing us properties to wholesale to us. And some of the properties needed so much work. We were like, nope, not today, not ever. We don't have time for our crews to be in that house for 3 to 4 months. And then again, win-win opportunities. They were like, well, what if we did the renovation and then sold you the finished property for a fixed price?
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, so that's what we've actually been doing with them. So they'll call Alisa when they have a property that they think will work. Alyssa goes through the property with them and does a checklist of everything that we need done to the property to get it to E.P.I.C standards. And then they'll go through, negotiate the price. So they already have a fixed price so that they know how much they can spend on the property. I don't care what they spend. I don't care what they make. If it makes sense for them, and then we buy the property and we can still make money after, everybody's happy. Win-win, right? And so, yeah, we probably do 2 to 3 deals like this a month with them.
Honestly, I think that is something a lot of people really get hung up on is, you know, that whole concept of multiple groups making money off of a property. That's the way to do this. That's how we're building as big as we have, because we understand that concept. We pay our realtors. We work with people that, hey, this is our number. And yeah, we can still make money above that. And I think a lot of people, that's one of their biggest mistakes. They're going to get into this and they're keeping all of it for themselves, and they grind it and they grind it and they grind it.
Yeah.
And it just, you know what, you're going to get locked out or into a position where you're just going to run yourself into a place where it's not going to work.
Totally. Again, go back to win-wins. It just makes sense. And Musa, you put your comment there. Yeah, it is you guys. And, you know, Musa, even if you want to put a comment on, like, how do you guys find the transaction working, right? Because at the end of the day, like, we love working with you guys, right? And it makes sense. And if the deals work, then cool. If not, no big deal. You know, it's all good. But we love it. It's great. It gives us better inventory. It gives us more inventory that we didn't even have to touch it, touch or do a lift finger, and it's so much easier. So yeah. So at the end of the day, this is my point though with them. I'm like, maybe we could put you in touch with these guys, and maybe they are willing to show you the ropes. I don't know. Yeah. There's magic that happens. Who knows? We don't know, and you don't know until you put it out there. But that's why I'm saying it's good to book in a call so we can find out about your specific situation. Because if you're not handy, then why would you try and be active, really? If you are not quick to learn or you don't speak really great English, then that might be a little bit more difficult, right? So everybody has their pros and their cons. And at the end of the day, it's just figuring out what your strengths are and then just really honing those skills and making it just work effortlessly. And so at the end of the day, I mean, I'm trying to think of the last 3 deals we did with the wholesalers, Musa. And I'm thinking, like, I think the one deal we were able to make 25,000. One deal we made 47,000. Another one we made 30. Like, they're kind of all over the place, but our thresholds, we need to make a minimum of 25. And so this is interesting too, because what we do in the paperwork is we put it under contract with them for the fixed price. So if it were to come in appraised a little lower, then we eat it. If it comes in appraised a little bit higher, then it's not that they're eating it. They still made their margins. We just made more. Yeah. And so, you know, nobody gets greedy. At the end of the day, they're not like coming and saying, well, I want more money. Or if a deal gets appraised a little bit lower, we're not coming for them and saying, well, it came in lower, you owe us 10 grand. Yeah. It's volume based, guys. It's just creating the partnerships and the win-win opportunities. So, I mean, this is basic knowledge in life. If you have something, hopefully, you know what, honestly, if the world did subscribe to this on a larger scale, we wouldn't be having a lot of the craziness we are having in our society nowadays. And I think it goes back to the root of having integrity and just being honest with your values and your morals and your principles and knowing who you are and just standing by that. So I don't want to get into the whole politics of everything that's going on in the world right now, but for us, it's just say what you mean what you say, and then go from there. So this looks like a long one just came in. Do you want me to read it? Who is it from? Kenneth? Okay. I understand if this is not the right forum, but can you talk more in depth about opportunities in private lending through E.P.I.C? What are the risks? Is there a minimum investment amount? What is the turnaround period? Tax implications? And can this be covered under registered investment, TFSA, etc.? Thank you. Yep. And we can touch on it briefly. Yeah. We definitely have webinars we can send you links to. We did a full 1 hour just talking about our fund to flip opportunity. That's really the private money lending side of things. So that's where you can actually use TFSAs, RSPs, LIRAs, cash, home equity line of credits, basically any of the things that you might be able to invest. That's where you can do it, is with the fund to flip. So it's going to be a 6-month term. It's going to be paid out at the end of the deal. The investor funds a full purchase and the renovation, and the investors earn a 10% annualized rate of return. And then we do this really cool thing called the Ninja Flip, where we actually can partner a larger amount of money, be it an RSP, LIRA, cash, home equity line of credit, with your TFSA. And then we can actually play around with the ratios if we put them in different mortgage positions, so you can get up to 29% in your TFSA. So yeah, so again, this is all customized, and this is why, again, I'm going to say, ring the phone and book in a call. And so at the end of the day, that's that one. And then we also have the hassle-free landlord program. And that's the one where if people are interested in owning cash flowing revenue properties, that's where the investor would put 20% down. They would physically get the mortgage and they would physically buy the house. And then we turn around and go into partnership with them and we become your guaranteed tenant. And it's a 2-year term with, you have the right to pick whatever options you want to do after 2 years. So the return there is a 15% annual rate of return based on the cash in the deal. So at the end of the day, this is very specific. It's case by case. So book in a call and we can go over it with you. And also, if you're interested, just shoot us an email afterwards and we can always send you the webinar links so that you can watch the Fund Flip and the Hassle-Free Landlord webinars as well. They're pretty informative.
Webinars, cartoon.
Yeah. And we're building up more resources. We're going to make sure that our affiliate partners know that if somebody wants a question answered, this video covers it. This is the PowerPoint that has it, and just make sure that you can get everybody's questions answered in a blanket type format. And again, if people are interested in working with us, then let's book in a call. At the end of the day, there's 3 things we're looking for in people who might be a good fit for us. One is they have to understand the benefits of investing in residential real estate. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, I only invest in Bitcoin, I'm just gonna hang up the phone, because there's no point in us even talking, because I just can't with that, right? We only invest in real estate, so whatever. I'm not hating on cryptocurrency. I'm just saying that's not what we do. So number 1, real estate. Number 2, they have to have something to work with, whether it be cash or equity in their property or underperforming invested funds. They've got to have something. It could be as minor, or again, might be major to some, but we can start with people that have $25,000 of cash and the ability to qualify for a mortgage. Boom, you could be a hassle-free landlord owner. So the barrier to entry is definitely a lot lower than a lot of other real estate investing opportunities out there. And then the third is they would have to understand the idea of being passive. So again, we've mentioned this quite a few times. We do not coach or mentor. We have no interest in teaching people the things. We just want to work with people who are so busy being amazing at leading their best lives that they just want to have their money working just as hard as they are in a different platform. So those are our kind of dream candidates. And at the end of the day, don't bring me anybody with ego or entitlement, because I will chew them up and spit them out. But if they're good people and they want to invest with integrity and to create win-win partnerships, that is our people. So yeah. Cool. Any more questions? We got a few more minutes, and when we have one more topic, I think. Oh, yay. Awesome. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it comes down to working with you where you're at. So
may not qualify for our programs, but it just turns out that we can lead them into something potentially that will get them there, right? Sometimes that's what the call is about.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had people who come in and they're like, oh, I only have $10,000 right now. So we can actually put you in touch with someone else that could actually put them to work for now until you build enough to be able to work with us. So yeah, like I said, we work with people where they are at. Okay, we have one more topic I want to touch. Thank you. The girls just reminded me that we have to do the tour. We're in a new Airbnb. So again, we're trying to film from a new location every time we do our Epic Hour. So here we're in our little Airbnb. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, and it's a cute one. And this house, it was interesting because it was actually fully renovated when we got it. It just happens to be not in the best neighborhood, and somebody tried flipping it. And it's kind of like a little too early. It's 2 blocks away from the trendy Riversdale area. And so it's just not made that transition yet. So for us, I was like, well, we could turn it into one of our regular rentals. Our tenants are just a little bit harder than the average person on a property. So we knew that if we made it into a traditional rental, we wouldn't be able to pull it back into an Airbnb. So I said, well, why don't I furnish it? Let's try it as an Airbnb and see what happens. And it's $50 a night and it's pretty much booked all the time. So we kept it open for today, but there's new guests checking in tomorrow for a week, and we get a lot of repeat guests, which is awesome. And there's a lot of people that love this little gem of a house. So, and actually we're just buying the house directly behind from our wholesaling friends. So we close on that in 2 weeks. So, okay, last topic.
Okay. Define motivated seller and distressed landlord, and how do you create win-win scenarios? This is a great question. So basically, when someone's referring to a motivated seller or a distressed landlord, basically that's someone who has a life situation or they're done with the property. So the life situation could be the property itself, it could be the tenants, or it could just be circumstances within their life, right? So trying to be active is no longer an option for them, right? So that's what I think what most people are referring to when they're talking about a motivated seller or a distressed landlord. Now, a life circumstance could be they're moving to another country and they need this property gone because they need to pull their finances to move to that country, right?
Or somebody passed away. So
Exactly. The list is endless. However many different types of people out there, or however many different circumstances there can be for a motivated seller and distressed landlord. Okay, that's how big the scope is. And how do you create the win-win scenarios? You need to ask the questions. That's how you create the win-win scenario. Why are you selling this property? What is this tenant doing that you're having a situation? How did you come to call me about the property? That's a big one, because typically if someone's calling us, there's usually something going on with the property. And they're like, hey, I know that these girls are really good at creating these win-wins to buy these properties, and I'm going to be able to walk away and it's done. Okay. So,
it doesn't even need to be a distressed landlord though.
No,
it
it's
could just
anybody.
be a homeowner.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
Somebody
anyone
who just wants out of a property. And the thing that's different with us is we're in a buyer's market, guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you can just go list a property and boom, it'll be gone because you're in a hot seller's market. We are in a buyer's market. We're here by design, right? But it's harder when you actually have a property to sell.
And so there's another example of a motivated seller. Their house has been on the market for 160 days, and it's like, man, I really want to move us to the next property. But if I don't get rid of this one, I can't go anywhere, right? Sometimes it's just that simple, right? And, so that's how we create the win-win scenarios. What is there? Do you know how many times we have actually purchased a property and the homeowner stays in it for 30 days after we've purchased it, and they just have to pay the utilities?
Well,
or we rent it back to them.
There was even that one time where it was the lady is like, hey, we're buying a property in another city, but we need time to get the money out of this property to sell it to the other one and whatnot. And so they're like, could we stay in the house an extra month and then we can make this happen? And we were like, okay, sure, it works in our numbers. It's all good. The house needed very minor renovations anyway. And so the first came and we bought the property, and then they messaged and they were like, how much do we owe you for rent? I was like, oh, they want to pay rent. Oh, cool. Yeah, does $1,100 sound okay? Like, I didn't even factor in that they were going to pay rent. I'm not going to be like, oh, no, don't worry about it. If they had budgeted it in, cool, right? So I said, does this work okay? So, again, it's all case by case.
And that was even a learning curve for the realtors we work with of those kinds of things. Ask all kinds of questions. Give them all kinds of scenarios. Because that's how we've also gained a lot of properties is, somebody's like, oh my gosh, it's COVID, I got to sell, but now what do I do? How am I going to deal with this whole situation? I need more time than I'm going to be allowed if I'm selling my house in 2 weeks to somebody, or whatever the case may be, right? And so that's why I had the education session with the realtors. I was like, look, if they need to stay, that's fine. I need to put the money to work so I have happy investors. So that's a win-win. Our money is the investor's money is being put to work, right? And the person who's selling the property has been given a little extra time to make things happen on their end. Oh my gosh, we bought one. I don't know, a month ago, and they were pregnant. And they were having literally the baby. They listed their house, and the baby was going to happen any day. And I was like, okay, well, that's crazy people. But hey, what had happened is they had a new build, and it was ready to go. And they're like, oh my gosh, everything's aligning like this. So we ended up, again, we bought the house, gave them that extra time. She ended up literally having the baby. She's literally signing up for the purchase because they were so happy that they're going to be allowed to stay there so that they could take the time they needed to take the items from their house, settle with the baby for a week or two, and then get to the new property. like literally signed the stuff at the hospital, right? Like, I mean, you know, so that's what a win-win's about. It's figuring out the story.
Figuring out their why.
That, yes.
It's not always just about the money.
No.
So when people come in and they just want to say, here's the money, let me buy your house, that's usually not, when it comes to a distressed seller, it's usually not even about the money. The money is like a byproduct. So I've always said this, even when we were in a seller's market and we were negotiating, we always said, figure out what those people need. It's never about the money. And if you can figure out what the problems and the issues are, you end up with the property as a byproduct. I mean, our first property that we ever bought, the distressed owners literally stayed in the property for a week because they used the money from the sale of the property to go and buy an RV. Because they decided that home ownership, yeah, it actually happened twice. But the one, they stayed in the property for a week. We told them, leave whatever you want behind, leave it. We got dumpsters coming. We'll make sure that stuff that can be repurposed and reused goes to community living, whatever. And they were like, oh my gosh, this is great. I think we even rented them the garage for an extra couple months because this was in the spring. And so we said, put whatever you need in the garage. You know, we don't need that for a couple months, blah, 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 whatever. Again, win-wins. And so it really comes back down to just listening and just being the solution for people. And that's the magic. So we're going to take you on a quick tour here. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to make one comment that I carry very close to my heart. It's cash is king, but knowing a person's why is golden. And if you understand currency, that says so much in one, like, couple sentences there. All right, let's do the tour.
Okay, so we'll bring you on the quick tour. Again, we move stuff around because we've set up the podcast and whatnot, but I don't know if you want to go back to the porch or.
Sure. As you can see here, it's just a cute space. This is all Rochelle's design, and just making sure I got a different laptop here. So I'm hoping, let me know if I need to go higher or lower, guys. Higher? Better? All right. We want to make sure we're giving you a great view. So that's the porch coming in. And then here you have, we're walking into kind of just the open concept living room. Yeah, there's Ashley and Bailey. And you can see the living room, and there's Rochelle hiding in the corner. Okay. There's Rochelle hiding in the corner, and she can take it from here. I'll follow her.
Yeah, so basically you can see it's all open concept. This was already done. Like everything in here, all we did was move the furniture, the new flooring, the new paint, the ceilings, the new light fixtures, the kitchen, the baseboards, everything was already like this. So you can see we've got 2 bedrooms. So again, typical queen size beds, dresser, you know, nightstands, nothing super special, but like it. And I always have fun with the little design. Somebody called this the motorcycle room, and I was like, oh, the only motorcycle is actually on the desk. I was like, sure, motorcycle room, cool.
It's the no speed limit sign, that's why.
Oh, yeah, so again, I always try to make sure that we've got a comfy pillow top mattress. I always make sure that we've got a lamp on the side. I always make sure we got extra pillows. I always make sure the linens are clean and look good. Make sure there's a mirror and a dresser or a closet in every one of the rooms. So it's these little things when you're running on Airbnb, you don't think like, oh, every room should have a mirror. It's a big deal. Have you ever stayed in an Airbnb where you got multiple people trying to get ready? It's crazy. And then in here, again, same thing. The same MO. I always try to make sure we have like blackout curtains as well to dim as much of the light as we can. We make sure queen size bed, make sure that, you know, have a little bit of art. And honestly, most of the stuff I buy used, and I just kind of hoard it until I find a place to keep it or I need it. And we save hundreds of dollars on setting up houses because I buy in bulk and garage sales and whatever. So again, bed, dresser, mirror, desk.
My next box is cute today.
It matches. And then we've got the bathroom. So the bathroom here is definitely on the smaller side, but it works. And the fan goes on at the same time. I'll turn on like that.
Okay.
You can tell it's smaller, but it works. So make sure that there is a blow dryer. Make sure that the shower curtain is good. The bathroom's clean. And there's the kitchen, and that's pretty much it. It's just a bungalow.
So a little tip there, it's always your fans and lights in the bathrooms. In rental properties, one switch. You will save yourself thousands of dollars by doing that with your bathrooms, because a lot of people don't have the energy to hit 2 light switches at the same time. But when they're connected to one, the fan always runs because the light's on.
Yeah, filter moisture. It's awesome.
Yep.
And then, yeah, the
Kitchen.
So again, pretty basic, but it works out really well. And then we actually put a fence in the back so that our guests could park in the backyard here as well.
We can get this open. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can see the house. That's the house right behind there is the
Yeah.
one we're getting in 2 weeks. It was just completely renovated, and that one's going to be a typical hassle-free landlord house.
You betcha.
Oh, and then here we actually put a little patio table in the back too. So a little bonus.
Absolutely.
But we should end this. We appreciate you being on the call with us, and
Yes.
we will sign out. But until next time.
Stay epic.